I was on self improvement for 4 years, right? So you would expect in that 4 years of time that self improvement would have worked for me, right? But, you know, what I did experience is that I didn't get any benefit out of self improvement. Rather, I spent the whole time thinking, you know, all this like manosphere shit. Like, I just started thinking so much. I started becoming like this truth seeker, right? I started thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking over and over again. Just be like day and night, just be thinking, right? And I'd never gotten like any like progress out of it. So it's to say that self improvement never helped, right? Because it never did, right? Instead, especially when I started watching, self improvement YouTubers like Hamza, nothing ever worked. Okay, like I started just thinking and thinking and thinking about these things, right? Just thinking over and over and over and over again, right? And I think that's what's the problem with watching self improvement content, right? A lot of the time. But self improvement never really worked for me unless it was something that was applicable, like looks maxing, right? Sounds gay, but getting leaner, getting better facial hair, surgeries, AAS. Um, if you don't know what AAS is basically the syringe supplements, that type of shit. Um, hair is law, that type of shit. That's looks maxing, right? And that would be more applicable than self improvement. And that's a lot more, you know, a viable option than self improvement, because self improvement in my head, it never worked for me. It was one of those things where I just kept thinking and thinking. At that point, if I'm thinking about it, I just became a fucking philosopher, right? I started really thinking about the world, thinking how it works, how do women work, how do men work, how does this work, and how does that work, right? And instead of actually improving my life, I just it was I was really caught up in the philosophy aspect of self improvement, and I think that really led me to make no progress. Self improvement in and of itself doesn't work, right? It's not applicable to real life, right? Things like meditation, gratitude journaling. Okay, sure, but that's basically all that I really learned, especially when I was watching Hamza. This is like the Hamza self improvement I should be saying. Just shitting on fucking Hamza, right? Right. So, oh, what the fuck, spider webs? You know, oh, it's not fucking spider webs. Where are these spider webs even coming from? Get these spider webs off my shit, bro. Okay. All right. So, you know, the Hamza style self improvement never really worked, and the only thing that really did work was meditation, gratitude journaling, and eating clean because I lost weight. That's that way, and the fucking spider webs. Okay, yeah, eating clean and going to the gym. Building a better physique is definitely a part of your SMV somehow, right? And in that case, it did work, right? But most of it didn't, and most of my other self improvement journey was just you know dating dynamics, spent on dating dynamics, um especially on like things like money and like what women want, especially what women want. I was like always so curious about what women want. What do women want? What do they actually want? How does life actually start? How do and I started buying these books, right? Because I was curious, right? I started buying this book called sorry, reading this book called Sperm Wars, and started reading another book called Art of Seduction, and reading the other books of Rational Male. All red pill propaganda books, right? Especially not so much Sperm Wars, but it's a little bit of cope as well. Um, but you know, because of that, self improvement never, really worked for me, and just I just became a philosopher because of it, you know, because I spent, how many fucking times have I said, oh, I just spent my time thinking, man, have you get it in your fucking mind already? Right? Have you got it in your fucking mind that I spent all that time thinking? Right? Yeah, that's about it.